Hello, welcome back to the Villa View. It's the Luke Live Lounge with myself, Dan Bardell, and my colleague Thomas Julian. I just realised it's the last Luke Live Lounge. I should have thought about this and asked this perhaps before I did the introduction, but is it the last one?
I guess it kind of depends on how this week goes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Really, we should do one next week. So I think if there's a demand, then maybe we do one next week.
Okay.
But yeah, I was more thrown by the fact that we're now colleagues. That would suggest that this is a legitimate operation.
Yeah, well, it is kind of, isn't it? It's getting there. It's taken us about 4 years, but I think we are getting somewhere near being a bit fit and proper. We might not pass the fit and proper owners test, but I think we're nearly there.
I mean, if we don't pass that test, then we really shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah. Anyone passes that, don't they? Absolutely. Anyone say, yeah, we probably passed that a few years ago. Other than worrying about relegation, are you well, Tom?
Yeah, I am. I've felt a bit sick all day, to be honest, as the kind of thought of Arsenal's crept up on me. We're still in that space where, we're not quite dead. We kind of should be at this point, but we're not.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just even looking at the table, which I've done about 20 times today. Funnily enough, keeping looking at it doesn't change it, but it does make you steadily more sick. So yeah, that's kind of where I am. How are you doing?
All right, I'm at the point where I just keep wishing, why couldn't we have just been a little less rubbish through the season, and we'd be safe by now, because it's a poor quality of league. The standard to stay up in terms of pointage is very, very low. Yet still, we find ourselves going into the last few games not secure and looking likely to go down, obviously, as one of the favourites to go down at the moment. So that's a little disappointing, a little frustrating. I think Watford sacking Pearson in the week is going to go one of two ways, isn't it? It's either going to galvanise them and they pull off a shock and we're dead and buried, or it's just going to be the absolute worst decision they could have made, and they're going to go down at the expense of either us or Bournemouth. I did enjoy the end of the Bournemouth game yesterday. It's not really nice to take joy from other people's misery, but I've got to admit I did yesterday.
Well, let's get into it, because listen, you're top of the notes right now. And should just say before we do start, thanks to everyone that's joining, seeing the comments, lots of people, new faces and old. So if you're joining us for the first time, welcome to the Luke Live Lounge. Make sure you're commenting and we'll read out as many as possible. But you mentioned it there, Dan. Nigel Pearson sacked as Watford manager. He only came in December, promptly beat Villa very, very comfortably, and now he's looking for another job. What did you make of the whole situation?
I mean, is that their fifth management team of the season? Fourth or fifth management team of the season from Watford? That's incredible. I tweeted yesterday, if that mess that have done that stay up and we go down, it shows you how much stuff we've got wrong. You might not look it on the surface, but if that, honestly, that's a travesty going through that amount of managers through a season. But if they manage to stay up and we go down, it just shows you how wrong we've got it. And I can't accept that. I'm afraid if that happens, it's just... We've obviously stuck with the same manager throughout, which I'm not knocking at all. It's exactly what I would have done. But Watford, they had 7 points in November, December, didn't they? Or something ridiculous when we were speaking. Pearson's very, very hard done by there. He's done a good job to keep them in contention, to be honest, because there were ones you discounted early on because their start was so bad. It was akin to our start when we went down on 17 points or whatever it was, that horrible relegation season. So Pearson's done a good job there, and he's probably one of the better managers to have in that kind of dogfight, I'd say. He's got the experience of it. He's got teams out of it before. So I'm surprised that they've done that. But the Watford owner seems a bit of a car crash, doesn't he? If you cross him, you tend to lose your job.
Yeah, it's been a crazy one. Jacob Blackshaw saying something on the YouTube comments that I saw as well. Some reports of him having a fight with Messina, I think it was, after the West Ham game.
And that was denied, wasn't it, quite heavily?
Yeah, I haven't seen anything. I think it was one of the Athletic guys who was originally talking about it as well. But I haven't seen anything else to confirm that, so it's just speculation potentially. But you're right, and we've talked a lot on this podcast when we sat together all those months ago. We talked a lot about how Nigel Pearson was a useful man to have in a dogfight. They've won 7 games, I think, since Pearson's come in, and like you say, with the start they had, he got them into a position where they were fighting. At least they've got a very, very tough finish with Arsenal and City, or City and Arsenal, I should say. still left to play. So, I mean, it's a mountain of a job, and it's Hayden Mullins' job, I think, unless they've got someone else lined up.
Yeah, it's
So,
Mullins and Stack.
and that's going to be the final one for the season. So we've got more Blues players potentially either doing us a favour or cementing our relegation. So, yeah, it just seems like a very odd decision. If there wasn't something that really sparked it, like a changing room incident or something like that, then I can't see the logic from the Pozzos.
It's so late, 2 games left, and I mean, obviously, no manager was ever going to walk into that job with the 2 games they have left just to get a relegation on the CV potentially. So that was never going to happen. It's just a strange decision. Pearson, he's a bit eccentric, isn't he? But I spoke to Steve Hollis on The Athletic a few months ago, and he was absolutely raving about Nigel Pearson, how he'd wanted to bring him in as the next Villa manager instead of Di Matteo, but the new ownership wanted Di Matteo, so Hollis kept his mouth shut. And he was absolutely raving about Pearson and his skill set. So I think it's odd. I think it's potentially something that could really, really hinder them, and hopefully it does. But as always, Villa seem to be offered all these lifelines, all these get out of jail free cards, but we just reject them.
Yeah, Pat Stewart says, feel bad for Pearson. Who's going to want that job? Casual rager. Watford won't get another point. But the bigger question is, can we find 4 points? Obviously, that's the bigger question, and we'll get into that as well. Christos Pavlou, regular since we started these live lounge. Watford decision making is almost as bad as Villa's. Yeah, and some would definitely agree with that. So, you know, do you give Watford any chance? Did you give them a chance beforehand, and what are their chances now?
Obviously, they got a chance because they're in the position. Feasibly, we could all just get beat every game now, and then if that happened, they'd stay up. So obviously, they're in the driving seat despite their tough fixtures. They've got some decent attacking players. When it comes down to it, I'd fancy Deeney to put a chance away over any of our forward players. So that's an advantage to them. Welbeck obviously came and scored his first goal for 150 games or something ridiculous to beat Norwich and put them ahead of us. So they've got some useful players in attack, but I look at their defence and it's pretty much the same defence that got them promoted, which was 3 or 4 years ago now, which seems ridiculous. People like Mariappa still knocking about in the Watford back four. So it's quite a tired back four, I'd say, and potentially a back four that can concede goals against the likes of Arsenal and Man City. But Deeney just always seems to get a goal when Watford need it, and that concerns me. But Man City haven't looked all there in the games that I've seen since the restart. They're in that awkward place where they're basically just trying to keep match fit for the Champions League now. They've not done what they needed to do because they haven't won the league, but their position is cemented in the league. Pep's already talked about how he's going to make heavy changes in the next 2 games. Everyone's going to get a game, and that can lead to disjointed performances. So for me, that's a worry. But in that respect, I think it's good that Pearson isn't there. Yeah. But it sounds like Deeney's going to be more involved in this coaching setup as well, which, whatever you think about him, I think he is an inspirational leader, and I think he can get people's tails up. So potentially he could play a really, really key part. And obviously being an ex-Blue Nose, that could be Villa's downfall. Yeah, I know. Obviously, we're not huge fans of Deeney's here, but he did a podcast interview with Louis Theroux on Louis Theroux's Grounded podcast, and Deeney spoke really well, and I've got a lot of respect for him off the pitch because he speaks well. He's obviously he understands the game like more than just on the pitch, and he wants to make changes off it as well. So I thought he was quite an interesting character. And to your point, you know, he's going to be an important man in that locker room, and they're going to need big characters, and that's what Villa need right now. We should say that the sacking came off the back of a 3-1 defeat. Watford lost 3-1 to West Ham. A huge match for both sides there. Phil Christie says the West Ham Watford, was that the best result for us, for Villa, considering the run-in and everything that's gone on now, Dan? For West Ham to be out of it now, do you think that a result either way was the best thing to see? We just didn't want to draw, did we? That was the one thing that we absolutely didn't want to draw. Could have been catastrophic for us. So one of them winning was okay. I think West Ham winning probably was the best scenario. Just back to Deeney, I don't say I like him because obviously he acts like a tit every time he scores against Villa. but he's one of them players that I respect. Yeah. Even though I don't like him, I think he would be a Premier League player next season either way because someone would have him because he is very, very useful. I think that result probably was the best result. But I think what West Ham have done, they've shown how a team should operate in January. They've made 2 key signings that have really made a difference to them. Obviously, Jared Bowen on the wing, who we know all about, and that Souček in midfield's popped up with a couple of useful goals as well now, and I don't think he cost the world at all. So they've shown you how to operate in January and make useful signings. We didn't really do that, did we? And you could argue we made a lot of unuseful signings in the summer as well. So I feel like that's been the difference between us and West Ham, really, is that they got January right, but we obviously were never going to spend big money after what we spent in the summer, and Bowen cost a lot of money, but Souček looks like he was a tidy piece of business, to be fair, and it would be nice to be going into the last day with something to play for us in potentially staying up, and with them having their flip-flops on.
Yeah, absolutely. Cy Hughes says, would you go in for Nigel Pearson or Eddie Howe? We'll talk about Eddie Howe in a minute. If Villa go down or stay up, as I don't think Smith is cut out to be a manager in the Premier League just yet and doesn't seem to have a plan B. Would you make a move for Pearson or Howe?
Not in the Prem, no.
If Smith keeps us up, he keeps his job.
I don't think so. I would have him in a job, but I don't think he will.
You don't?
Personally, I think he'll probably be gone either way. That's just what I think. Again, it's not the decision I'd make, but that's what I think will happen. I think if we go down, I think there's going to be 4 guys off the back of it, and it's not going to be Purslow, so it makes sense that the two 4 guys are going to be the sporting director and the manager. As I feel sorry for Dean Smith. That's where I sit. I think he's been operating with his hands tied behind his back in some respects, but Pearson in the Championship. I mean, I don't like talking about it because I don't want to be disrespectful to Dean Smith, but
yeah,
I wouldn't take either of those if we were a Premier League team, to be honest. I want Villa to start behaving like a big club. The last time I think we behaved like a proper big club was when we were in big trouble under Houllier and we bought in Darren Bent for massive money. I don't really think we've operated like a big club since then. We talk about being this big club and the history and stuff, but we don't act like one. And I don't think we've acted like one for a long time. So that's what I want to see from Villa next season either way. I want to start acting like Aston Villa and being a big club. And I'm probably jumping ahead on your notes here, but when I see people saying they don't mind being in the Championship, they want to be in the Championship. Why? Because if you're in the Championship, you're aiming to go up and get promotion anyway back in the Premier League. So literally, what is the point?
I don't want to disrespect anybody that has that view, and if you do have that view, let us know in the comments why exactly you think like that, because I'm exactly the same as you, Dan. Everything is about getting into the Premier League, and then when you're in the Premier League, it's about moving up the table, and then when you're moving up the table, it's about getting into Europe. Like you say, we haven't been a big club for a long time since Martin O'Neill was kind of edging and dicing with the Champions League. We haven't seen that progression, and we've had 5-year plans, and we've had all these ideas and Villa engines, who could forget? But nobody's put it into practice, and it's a difficult job. I'm not trying to undersell how hard a job it is to try and make a Championship club into a Europa League or Champions League contender. And money is one thing, but you need to put it all together in a sustained period of time as well. It's very difficult. But just to say, oh yeah, I prefer it in the Championship, just seems like a bit of a cop out, to be honest. You know what I mean? Is it fair play? You win a couple more games, but that's not what it's about. It's about moving up and trying to contend with the big boys.
I mean, yeah, we won games in the Championship under Steve Bruce for the season. We nearly went up. We won most weeks, especially at home. Last season was pretty miserable up until the last 10 games, wasn't it? We were all pretty depressed with how things we were going. And the first season was absolute dross. We got relegated, then we continued that downward spiral and struggled in the Championship and were absolutely bang average, just throwing money at anyone that looked at us. Like, the Championship wasn't that enjoyable. Yeah. Looking back, did you enjoy losing playoff finals? No, I don't. Not really. And I just think people are saying, "Oh, there's no VAR in the Championship." It's only a matter of time before VAR comes in the Championship. The refereeing's horrendous. It's not much better in the Premier League, but it's worse in the Championship. You just haven't got that added layer of VAR at the moment. I've been to places and watched us lose at I've seen us lose at Millwall twice. For example, Championship wasn't a barrel of laughs. Why do you want to go back there? I want to be in the Premier League, stabilise and get better. That's what I thought we would do this season. Obviously, we've struggled and we've got all kinds of things wrong. But you know what I mean? Yeah. You want to make progressive steps in the Premier League. Going down, that's not a progressive step.
James Walsh says, I prefer Man United away to Wickham away. Jacob Blackshaw, I can't go back to Quest.
Exactly.
Gary Eaton, this campaign has been miserable, so I can understand why people say the Championship was more watchable, entertaining, see us win, etc. Surely, though, the long-term aim is to be that in the Premier League. And like you say, it wasn't that fun. It wasn't a barrel of laughs for a lot of time in the Championship. And yeah, it's very tricky. Christoph Pavlou, at least with the playoffs, we have a chance to come back up. I'm not absolutely convinced we'll be in the playoff mix with the team that we've got. There's Sean Kelly, Villa are a huge club. Dan is right. I should have stopped. I should have read that when I saw Dan is right. Dan is right. The ambition needs to be that of a huge club. That means recruitment, players and managers go for winners that are still hungry. But like I say, I think that's more to my point, to be honest, Sean. You need to get every facet of the game right. It's not just on the pitch. It starts a long way before that, and that's with Purslow, with the manager, with the coaching staff, with the recruitment experts, and with the youth as well. For so long we've been talking about seeing the next generation of villains, and we just haven't seen that come to fruition. I'd be really interested to see what's going on with the under 23s and the under 18s, and seeing why aren't these players just coming through and making it that step further and getting into the first team.
That's not something I think you can level at this ownership, because I think, to be fair to them, the ownership in Purslow, in that respect, they're doing the right things. I would say I wouldn't knock them for that at all. I think they're heading in the right direction with that now. But this is what I'm saying about being a big club. Big club doesn't yo-yo between the Premier League and the Championship. A big club sustains. The thought of Villa being in the Championship when I was a kid and had a season ticket and we were getting to Coca-Cola Cup finals and finishing in the top six, even when we were finishing in the top six and under O'Neill, the thought of being in that league just wouldn't have been something I'd ever thought would have happened. And maybe that's arrogance, but that's what I'm saying. We're a big club. Let's act like one. Let's not be saying it might not be that bad in the Championship. It'll be decent. It's trash.
Yeah, Spitzer says, I just miss beating the Blues twice a season.
They might be in League One. So
That's
might not even be able to play them if we go down.
And West Brom are trying to throw it away. It's just Brentford are trying to throw away the Premier League harder, aren't they?
Let me tell you, Brentford have upset me a few times over the last few years, but they upset me chucking away that opportunity on Sunday. That was very Villa-esque. That lifeline.
It's so close, isn't it? Because you've got Fulham in there as well. Who, any one of those three could take that last place. It's tomorrow, isn't it? The final day of the Championship. Is that right?
No, it's Wednesday, I think.
Wednesday.
Yeah. Villa's tomorrow, Tom.
I'm getting confused in the days, because we're usually on the Luke Live Lounge on a Tuesday, aren't we? Everything's out of kilter. I should say, while we're mentioning the Luke Live Lounge, that you can get 20% off at luke1977.com with our discount code. It's just down there. TVV20 for 20% off almost everything. That includes sale items as well. So make sure you check out luke1977.com. And at the end of the show, as always, we'll be giving away a piece of the Dapper Villain range. So make sure you stick around for that. All right. We talked about Watford. The other big talking point, the big team that we wanted to talk about tonight was Bournemouth. And they, Dan, they came so close to grabbing a crucial point at the weekend against their South Coast rival Southampton at 1-0. They think they've stuck the ball in the back of the net. VAR does its job correctly for once.
Not often we say that.
No, exactly. So while Bournemouth are reeling, Che Adams takes full advantage and scores in the 97th minute or something like that. And again, the goal difference is absolutely crucial at this stage. So another loss for Bournemouth, and they, with only one game left, they're running out of time like us all. What did you make of that game, first of all, and how important was that result?
First note, as always, is that Danny Ings is doing as much to keep Villa up as anyone, if not more than Villa themselves. Danny Ings seems to score against all our rivals. He wants Villa to stay up. Che Adams wants Villa to stay up. Villa don't seem to want themselves to stay up.
Danny Ings is 2 goals off Golden Boot. That's unbelievable. Yeah. And he missed a pen.
I think he's the top scorer in the league without penalties, I believe. Yeah. I read that earlier. He's been incredible. He deserves it as well, because he works hard. I think he plays the game in the right way. Bounced back from a couple of bad injuries as well. It's a difficult one for him now, because he probably wants to make the step up again, but it's going so well for him at Southampton. You don't really want to go and risk sitting on the bench somewhere else. I'm sure he just wants to play football after a couple of years of really bad injuries in the not so distant past that have happened. But I thought Southampton would go on and get the second. and they didn't, and then he got to stoppage time. I mean, in fairness, the linesman should have his flag up for that goal. He is offside. It's obvious. But there wasn't even a little bit of me for some reason that was worrying that VAR would overturn it, because I just thought that's so obvious. But then I started to think, well, there's a lot of obvious things that have happened this season that VAR has got wrong. So you never know, do you? But it was good to see that get disallowed, because at that point, the extra point even for Bournemouth is a massive thing over us, and it just would have then been another team that's in a better position than us to stay up, even though we'd have had one game extra to play. Obviously, I was pleased. I'd like a Bournemouth fan that I've met that follows me on Twitter, and I follow him. I did have to apologise for my tweeting, because I wouldn't have liked it if I'd have seen that the other way. But he took it in good grace. It's just mad. Like, I'm probably up off my chair more in the other games that affect Villa than I am in the Villa games at the moment still.
Yeah, it's just so close. I don't know if we have the table to hand, producer Adam. Maybe we can get it up, because it doesn't make for pretty reading. As I say, I've been looking at it almost hourly at this stage, and there it is. It's so close. You've got where are we? I've got to move my table up here. Both Villa and Bournemouth on the same goal difference at this stage. Obviously, Villa still have a game in hand there. Same points, same goal difference. If Watford lose both their games, which they're widely expected to do against City and Arsenal, they lose both of those 2-0, and Villa manage to win one of their games, Bournemouth win their games. You've got three teams there potentially on 34 points and minus 27 goal difference, Dan. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I mean, the worst thing there is that we scored one more goal than Sheffield United, and they're 8th.
Yeah,
but we've only learned to defend with 10 games left, which is a little bit annoying. Any kind of savvy defending through the season, and the goal difference wouldn't be in as dire state, and that would be an extra point, wouldn't it? It'd just be the most Villa thing ever to go down on goal difference, wouldn't it? Can you imagine?
This is what's making me feel so ill, is that you just look at it and it's so tight, and obviously it's to a point it's still in our own hands. We've still got to go to Arsenal and get a result, and to West Ham and get a result as well. It's obviously not in our own hands, because if everyone else wins, then we're scuppered. But we've still got to put the performances in, and I don't know why I'm talking myself into it, because by and large we haven't seen them. But again, I think it's a bit like last time. It's the hope that gets you, isn't it? Because you start to rationalise. The Watford game is on earlier than us tomorrow night, isn't it? So it's Man City, Watford, and then us. So we'll know a lot more by the time Villa even kicks off. But yeah, it's just such a tense time, and it's just bloody close. That's all it is to say.
There's a lot of un-Villa things required to win to get to safety, isn't there?
Yeah.
They could potentially need to win back-to-back games. Even winning one game has proven a struggle at many periods through the season. You've got to go and beat one of the big six, something that we've not done. If we even beat anyone in the top half this season, I'm not sure that we have. So we've got to beat. Really, we could do with beating Arsenal. Beating a big boy is something that's not come easily to us. We've probably got to keep a clean sheet, because we don't score that many. Again, not very Villa-like. It's just a combination of very un-Villa things that need to materialise. So for me, I'm just desperately trying to talk myself out of it, because blessed is the man that expects nothing, Tom, for he can never be disappointed.
Oh, very wise, very wise. To back up your stats, Aston Villa's home record against top half teams is 1-0, drawn 2 and lost 7, which doesn't inspire. That's the home record, which doesn't inspire much confidence. And just on the other side of that, Arsenal have scored against every club down to as far as Everton. So they score. They're going to score a lot of goals, or not a lot of goals, but they are going to score goals. And against our defence, I'm slightly worried that we haven't seen an opposition forward line since Manchester United. So the last couple of games haven't been a brilliant attacking display from the opposition. I think Arsenal have got more than enough to get at our team and put us under pressure, and it's just how we can come back from that. And so far, we haven't shown a whole lot of resilience.
Now, there's a few more things concerning me that I haven't mentioned. One of the main ones being that we've not beat Arsenal since I was 13, which was at Villa Park. It was a very long time ago. Leon Dublin and Julian Joachim leading the line. So that's how long ago that was. Michael Oakes in goal. So it's been a long time, hasn't it? I put instructions in the WhatsApp group to wear the 98-99 shirt, haven't I, to the Villa fans that we talked to, saying you got to wear the 98-99 shirt tomorrow if you've got it, because that's the last time we beat them at Villa Park. So that's quite sad.
Yeah.
Arsenal have had a nice week. It worries me that they'll decide to play a full-strength team against us and then rest everyone just before the FA Cup final for the last game against Watford. So that's another concern. But they just look more savvy than they have done at any other point in the season, just as they're about to play us. And we had a terrible record against Man U at Villa Park. I haven't beat them since I was 10, I don't think, and we didn't manage to rectify that. So again, I'm trying to talk myself out of it, to be honest. I'm the opposite of you.
Pervez Khan says, I'm trying to figure out how we approach Arsenal. All out, going for broke doesn't seem to be in our DNA this season. How would you approach this game? Try and catch them on the counter or go for it?
They're obviously going to have more of the ball. They're a savvier team on the football, aren't they? So they're gonna have more of the ball against us. It's going to be a case of picking our moments and trying to break. Before Bruno Fernandes got shot, we were actually doing okay at catching Man U on the break, weren't we? So I guess it will be a similar game plan to that. We're just so toothless up front now. I just hope it's written for Jack to do something in what's probably going to be his last game at Villa Park. We could really do with a big display from him and a goal or two, an assist or two from him. I'm hoping the fact that it could be his last game at Villa Park's really going to G him up, and he's going to be really up for this one. But I guess approaching it in that same way we did Man U, without them having a player falling on the floor, without really being touched, to give him a penalty, I guess that's the approach we've got to go to, that we were at up until that point.
Well, yeah, I mean, that takes away from the fact that they were a lot better than us. It wasn't just that that Fernandes took a little tumble. They deserved to win that game. They outplayed us the whole game.
No. I'm not disputing that. You're misreading me, Thomas. What I'm saying is, up until that point, we just hit the post 5 minutes before at 0-0. I'm saying up until that point, we were doing okay. And
yeah, we're doing okay.
Playing the right game plan, I would say. So I imagine it would be something similar to that. That's what I'm getting at. After that, obviously, it's an absolute travesty. I'm not saying anything different. We could have probably got beat 5 or 6-0. But up until that point, I thought the game plan was pretty good and we were executing it pretty well. We're unbeaten in 2 now, Tom. So the dizzy heights of 2 unbeaten might have given us some confidence.
Well, we've swapped places in about 2 minutes flat there. Yeah, I mean, you and I obviously saw the Everton game slightly differently, and I don't think either of us have changed our minds since then. Rahul Mehta says, where are we? Will a draw against Arsenal be enough, or do we have to go all out for a win?
Depends what happens in the Watford game before, doesn't it? If Watford managed to beat City, then no, a draw is not good at all. But if Watford get pumped, a draw isn't the end of the world. But it's again, that last game fills me with dread, and we're not even there yet. I hate to think what I'm going to. I'm always quite cool and calm up until the game starts, and I'm an absolute mess.
Yeah, I've just got to dispute this. Jack Quigley, we were the better team before the pen, 100% against Manchester United. No, we weren't. We had a couple of chances, and I think, was it Trezeguet that hit the post?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. That was like a breakaway chance. I think we had one other chance, but they were definitely the better team. They always looked better than us. It was more even.
Because they are better than us.
Yeah, but I'm just
most teams are.
I'm disputing the point here that we were the better team. We definitely weren't the better team, and we haven't been the better team in many of our games, especially since the restart, I would say.
We weren't even the better team when we beat Norwich at home.
No, it's very true. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough game. Here's one more stat to fill you with confidence. Arsenal have won the last 7 meetings against Aston Villa with a combined aggregate score of 23-3. So that's a nice one, just to put a little bow on the Aston Villa Arsenal legacy matches.
Yeah, David Luiz had a pretty astute game on Saturday or Sunday, whenever it was as well, didn't he? So hopefully he seems to alternate, doesn't he, between being competent and being an absolute disaster. Well, so hopefully it's the disastrous turn. Yeah,
absolutely. Stacey says, would Keenan Davis be a better option than Samatta against Arsenal's centre-backs? What do you reckon?
I'd pick Keenan Davis. I think I said that on whenever our last post-match point was. I'd be going Davis. Samatta just looks shot of confidence, doesn't he? I mean, if you're a forward at Villa in general, your confidence is going to probably be quite low anyway. But it's just not happening for him. I think Davis makes the rest of the team better. He's not going to score either, but he makes the rest of the team better. So for me, it has to be Davis.
Yeah. Any other changes that you make? I've seen Courtney Hawes is back in contention.
Not for me. No, I'll keep it exactly the same. We've looked more astute with that team, haven't we, really? Again, two unbeaten. That team's two unbeaten, pretty much. So I think you probably don't change that too much.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'd agree with you. I think El Mohammadi's played pretty well since he came in as well, and Conser's done well, shifting over to that right centre-back slot.
Yeah, Conser had his best game he's had in the Villa shirt on Thursday.
I'm still a little bit. I just wanted to see a little bit more from Mings, a bit more passion, a bit more kind of geeing people up. I still haven't seen that. You know, when he came in before we went on that 10-game winning run last year, and we saw him. Obviously, the crowd was there. Maybe he's the kind of player that needs the crowd. He needs a bit of a lift around him. I feel like he could have taken more responsibility in this run. Do you think that's fair, or am I searching for a scapegoat?
I would have probably said a little bit the same, that he doesn't look like he's leading, but then obviously do the Athletic with Greg, who's at the games, right. And he keeps talking about how vocal Mings is, and he's obviously seeing things that we're probably not appreciating on TV. So he was full of defence for Mings, saying that he is doing all those things. So I can only go by what he says as someone at the games, that those things are still happening. We're just not seeing it replicated on TV.
Fair enough. That's an interesting point of view. That obviously, like you say, he's there, so he can make that call. Neil Gilder, can't Dion Dublin come out of retirement? That would be a nice touch, and it would be nice to have just a goal scorer, wouldn't it? Somebody else in the comments, I'm sure. Sorry, it's already gone. I'd rather have Vasilev up front over Samata. You know, we're really clutching at straws, aren't we, here to try and find a goal scorer at this stage? I mean, not at this stage. It's been a season-long issue. But Christoph Pavlou, comebacks to White York. You know, let's bring Andreas Weimann back at this stage. We need anyone we can get.
I mean, I would say at this point, it's probably as likely Dion Dublin will start as Vasilev. If I'm being perfectly honest, I don't see that happening. One warning about Dion that I would say is that when me and Matt Lynch played 7-a-side with Dion for the kit launch, Dion got injured within the first 2 minutes.
Oh, did he?
He looks fit, but perhaps he's not as fit as he looks after he pulled up with a groin injury almost immediately. Plus, he's been tarred with the Matt Lynch loser brush, so you don't really want him there.
Jacob Blackshaw says he's too happy on Holmes under the hammer as well. He's got a pretty sweet gig, to be fair.
Yeah, it's a good gig.
He's doing a bit of the Sky Sports analysis, isn't he? And
BBC's everywhere.
He's getting all the gigs, isn't he? I thought the Cahill Dublin, when they cut to them at the water break, was a bit awkward. They didn't really have that same camaraderie that maybe Nev and Carragher had. It felt a little bit forced to me. One important thing, Dan, that you wanted to raise before we go tonight was just the kind of longevity of this losing and this disappointment that you and your relationship have faced. You want us to bring it up, and it feels like something you need to get off your chest.
It's just something I was thinking about last night. Ange said to me, like, how angry I get when I'm screaming at the telly when Villa are playing. And I was just thinking, she's never really known me when Villa have been good. Because we got together in May 2011, so it was just as Houllier left and we replaced him with Alex McLeish, which obviously wasn't the greatest appointment that we've ever made in our history. And from then on, we've just been pretty pap, haven't we? So she hasn't known me at a time when I've been happy within, I don't want to say within myself, but I always feel like I'm happier within myself when Villa are doing well, if that makes sense. Yeah. So we've just been pretty much a clown car for my whole relationship with her, and I'd just like her to see me if Villa could have a sustained period of being good. This is why, I mean, obviously I want us to behave like a big club anyway, but I think this is why I'm so passionate about us behaving like a big club, because then I get to behave like a big boy myself, because I'm in my shell at the moment with Anne. She hasn't seen me be truly happy with Villa, and I think at times she must wonder why on earth I put myself through it, because all she has seen from me is pain and misery and my hobby.
Do you think you'd be a better husband if Villa were better? Is that what you're saying?
It's certainly it's a question that could rightfully be asked, I think. I don't think it could be ruled out.
A better man, better husband, better lover, perhaps.
There's not usually any complaints in that department. I hope my dad's not watching. There's not usually any complaints in that department. I've just noticed that our producers love to chat. Obviously offended by the way in which the direction of the show has gone.
That was perfect.
Plus, how do we get off air?
Yeah,
that you don't know how to do it.
That either means we've been cut and we've already gone off there. If somebody could let me know in the comments, that would be good. Or he's so disgusted by the fact that I asked whether you were a good lover or not, that he's just abandoned the chat.
It was one of the more weirder conversations that we've had on the Villa View, for sure.
Yeah. Anyway,
are we still there? Can someone let us know?
Oh, this is getting awkward, Tiger Adams says. So I think we are still there.
Okay.
Indeed. Right. So yeah, what you're saying basically is that if Villa got good, you would be a better partner.
I'd just be a happier person, wouldn't I? I don't like being miserable about my football team 365 days a year, particularly because, as I say, even when it's good, we're good. It's for such short periods, and then inevitably, when we're good, there's going to be a letdown coming at some point. Like we won those 10 games in a row, the playoffs. I was like, yes, here it comes. Villa are back. Then we have a really unenjoyable season in the Premier League. Tim Sherwood came in and we were good for a little bit of time, and then we got battered in the cup final, and then we got relegated the next season. So at the moment, even when something good happens, you just know inevitably that bad stuff's going to follow.
I'm getting distracted by all the comments talking about you being a good lover. Oh dear.
I'm glad I can't say them.
Excellent. Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, and listen, I think you're right. I think everybody wants to be a good lover and to have a decent football team. But
it's the dream combo, Tom.
It is the dream combo, and I guess that's why some people want to go back to the Championship, because I think then you're a big fish in a small pond. But to me, that's not the right answer. You want to be competing with the big boys at the top rather than just kind of settling for second best. But yeah,
just rode on a Friday night and watching us get beat to QPR. I've had some in the rain. I've had some rubbish days in the Championship. I've had more unenjoyable times in the Championship than I did enjoyable. That's for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree. QPR is a horrible place to go. Barbed wire and low roof in the away end. That's grim.
We couldn't even see when we went to QPR. The bloody bollard in our face.
That was awful. Really, really bad. When I sat with Dolan, actually, we got some nice seats. So next time.
That's Dolan for you. He's got the X factor, hasn't he?
He absolutely has.
Out the contacts.
A couple of bits I wanted to touch on before we leave. A couple of managerial moves involving Villa and ex-Villa. First one, Huddersfield Town potentially bringing in Tommy Elphick as caretaker manager. Our producer's joined again. That's nice. He's obviously
the bedroom talk's over. He's excited to come back.
Tommy Elphick taking the reins at Huddersfield Town. An interesting move. Obviously, you spoke to him with the Athletic podcast not so long ago. Was that something that he was already talking about managing, or has this kind of come out of nowhere?
I mean, if he did speak about it, I've completely forgotten about it.
He definitely didn't speak to it. I mean, I listened and he didn't mention it on air. I just wondered if that was something that he was talking about beforehand or anything.
Him and Dolan are quite tight. Dolan might know.
Yeah.
To be fair, what I will say is that was probably one of my favourite interviews I've ever done, because he was just so open, and some of the stories he told were absolutely fantastic, and it's worth listening to that podcast just to hear his impression of Mick McArthur.
Yeah, so good.
If you can. But he's one of those people that I can see as a manager, isn't he?
Mm.
You can see him being a manager. He's only 32, though. He's younger than me. Is he younger than you?
No. I had to work out how old I was then.
Yeah, you weren't sure, wait. How old are you? I don't even know how old you are.
31.
Yeah, so I think he's a year older than you. So he's very young to be taking that on full time, I would say.
Yeah.
But for one game.
And he talked on that podcast about like trying to be a leader and trying to be obviously he was a leader when he came in. It was such a transitional period for Villa, but also when he was not necessarily playing, that he wanted to learn from John Terry, but also kind of be an important role player even if he wasn't playing on the pitch. So it seems like he's got the right mindset for management, and it's obviously going to be a tough job with Huddersfield. Whether it carries on next season, I guess it probably won't, but it's going to be an interesting experience for him, and wishing him all the best.
Yeah, I mean, what I will say for the lad, turmoil absolutely follows him round, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Everywhere he goes, turmoil, trouble will find him wherever he goes. Tommy Elphick. Yeah. He's injured. He's got a pretty bad injury at the moment. I don't know whether he's returned from his injury, but he had a really, really bad injury. Just as I say, that Tommy Elphick's one guy that does not get a lot of luck.
Yeah. And the other big managerial, not necessarily news, but rumours, Bristol City job is vacant, and the story goes, according to the Sunday Express, Stephen Gerrard turned it down, paving the way potentially for Mr. John Terry to take the job. Do you see any truth in these rumours, or where do you see this one going?
I think he's done a couple of seasons as a coach now. I think he'll be looking to go his own way. I don't know. I don't think the Villa job's ever going to happen for him in the near future for him at the moment. So I think he'll probably be looking to get an opportunity if he can. Kind of the timing probably works quite well now. What I will say about Bristol City is they're just a weird club. Like, some Bristol City fan was having a go at me on Twitter yesterday. I was like, what's it got to do with you? 12th in the championship, or wherever you are. They're just a weird club, and I would have said that Lee Johnson was quite suitable for them as a manager, because I find him quite weird as well. But John Terry doesn't seem weird enough for Bristol City to me.
Is that just a club thing, or the place in general? How far are you going with this?
I mean, my friend Aston Radford, who you know as well, he is from around there, and he can be strange at the best of times as well. But he says that Bristol City are a strange bunch as well. So I feel like, as I say, John Terry's not kooky enough.
Right. Bristol's lovely though. It's a lovely place to be. Yeah. I'd move to Bristol. Maybe I'm kooky, but I think it's beautiful by the sea down there.
Even their social media after Leeds got promoted. Did you see that?
I saw that. I didn't get the. Apparently it's a meme, but I don't know what it is. I'm not with the cookies.
Weird social media team. It's just a weird club.
Yeah.
I can't wait to now. I'm now going to get Bristol City fans all over me again on Twitter. I'm going to have to probably go on a blocking spree. But you get the point I'm trying to make here. Like, Lee Johnson was complaining about Villa having home fans at both ends when we beat them last season. He was having to go at Bruce for doing keep-ups when we were winning 5-0. But they just seem to have a problem. There's a selection of clubs that seem to have a weird problem with Villa. We seem to be hated by the most eclectic bunch of. I've said that word wrong. The most eclectic bunch of clubs in England.
Who else? Who else do you bandy in that bag?
Coventry.
Yeah, well, Coventry play the kind of rivals card, don't they? Even though they're not, but they like to think they are.
Leeds seem to have a massive problem with us.
Well, that's from last year, though, isn't it? I guess.
You know what I mean? We just seem to pick up weird hatred. I always think. Yeah. The Coventry rivalry is one that I've never got, because we used to beat them most times we played them when they were in the Premier League. They were always in the Prem when I was growing up. But I used to look forward to that game because we always used to beat them, and they used to really hate Villa. Leicester don't like Villa either. I've heard Leicester singing about negative songs about Villa through weird times as well. That's what I'm saying. Just weird fan bases seem to turn on us, and I don't know what.
Tyler Smith, go on, Dan, have a rant.
It's not a rant. It's just an observation.
It does seem a bit ranty.
No, it's just an observation that I've made. I've gone off on one a couple of times on this tonight, to be fair, but obviously just the mood I'm in.
Billy Big Speaker says Fulham with the whole Brian thing as well. Another one you can chuck in there.
Yes, Steve Bruce chasing Joe Bryan down the motorway.
Is that what that was?
I think so, yeah, because he decided he didn't want to move to us anymore and he wanted to go to Fulham. He just drove off. I don't think Steve Bruce was chasing him down the motorway. My visions of Steve Bruce in like a Fred Flintstone car chasing after them. Yeah, just chasing after Joe Bryan in the Flintstones mobile. Yeah, just a lot of clubs just get problems with us, and I don't really understand it. We're such a nice club. I just don't get it.
Wow. Yeah. There you go. I mean, a strange end to a strange Luke Live Lounge, to be honest. But there you go. You never know what you're going to get when you turn up here at 7 p.m. For the live lounge. What we do know that we are going to do, oh my gosh,
are you sure we're going to do it?
is give away a part of the Dapper Villain range every week on the Luke Live Lounge. We give away some of Luke Roper's finest clothing. Now the Dapper Villain range, I should say, you can't get with the Villa Views discount because 30% of proceeds go to the University of Birmingham Hospitals Trust, which is obviously a great cause and particularly important at this time. So make sure if you don't win that you are going on 1977.com and purchasing some of the Dapper Villain range, because it is all worth it. Now, the competition winner on Instagram from last week was Louise Mulholland. So congratulations, Louise. Dan will be getting in touch with you very, very shortly.
Probably why she gets in touch with me, to be fair.
Wow. Either way, I think, Louise, you've got 24 hours to get in touch with Dan. Otherwise, he gets in touch with you. It's not so much of a, I don't know. I don't know. I've lost my way on this one.
You've pretended you don't use Instagram, even though you've got an Instagram account, and it would be quite easy for you to send the message, in my opinion. But you seem to have lumbered it on me because I'm more active on Instagram.
How often do I text you and go, how do I use this thing? I've got no idea how to use Instagram.
True. But you have got control of the Villa View Instagram account. Really, John should be doing it. John's the social media guy. Why am I doing it? But never mind. That's a story. That's a story for a different day.
Yeah, we'll have that conversation off there. All right, but we are going to give away the Yippee-IA, a lovely bit of kit, and hopefully we get the graphic up now.
Yeah, I've got that one. It's good.
This is possibly one of the nicest bits, if I do say so, of the Dapper Villain range. Yippee-IA in a pewter width. So a little play on words with the colour there, but like Peter width.
Pewter width.
Pewter's a colour. It's like grey.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
As you can see. So, okay, it's in grey. You ruined my joke. Yeah. So anyway, we're giving away the Yippee-IA, lovely bit of kit. So this time we're going to put the competition out on Twitter. So make sure you're following Luke Roper, make sure you're following the Villa View, and you'll have to retweet the tweet that we put out straight after this. So make sure you do that and use the discount code TVV20 for 20% off Luke1977.com. The link to Luke Roper's website will be in the bio, so just click that, go and have a little spree. TVV20. Make sure you support us, support Luke, and hopefully everyone's happy next week when we come back for the last Luke Live Lounge of this current season. Anyway, Dan, we're still working out what happens next, whether Luke wants to be associated with us after all these rants that we've been on.
Probably not after tonight. What I will say about that jacket, the giveaway as well, it's quite a good jacket because it's obviously associated with Villa, which is nice as a Villa fan, but if we do lose the last two games and we get relegated, it's not clearly associated with Villa, so you can still wear it.
Yeah, that's true. You don't feel super bad about it. Yeah, so make sure you enter that competition. The Yippee-IA looks absolutely fantastic. So yeah, get on that. We will be back tomorrow night after the Arsenal game, so it's going to be a late one for the post-match pint in association with Purity Ale. We're going to come on live straight after the game, so about 10:15 p.m. ish. So win or lose, we'll be here. We're getting a few more fans on. We'll read out your comments as always, positive or negative. We'll be here. Mighty Villain says it's the Davis hat trick. So that happens, and we're all laughing. Dan, Davis hat trick tomorrow night?
I'm probably not going to put money on it.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to. Good odds, I'd imagine.
Yeah, very good odds, I would say.
Yes.
All right, well, let's call it a night then. We'll see you again tomorrow for the post-match pint. Cross all your fingers, wear your lucky pants. We're going to need everything we possibly can for tomorrow. So, until then, up the Villa.
I want to see as many 98-99 home shirts being worn on social media as possible tomorrow, please.
So, sounds good to me. All right. Night-night.